What's the most overrated and overhyped fighter jet in the world? In my opinion, that title belongs to the F-22 Raptor. Yeah, the so-called invisible jet that somehow never shows up in any real war. It's like the US is scared it might end up like the F-117, shot down by a small country like Serbia. So what did America do? They decided to keep the F-22 safe in Hollywood movies. That's where it performs best, fighting aliens, not real enemies. But here's the truth. The F-22 is an absolute disappointment, and I'll prove it by comparing it to a fighter jet that actually deserves the fifth-generation title, China's J-20 Mighty Dragon. I'll show you how China built one of the most advanced and terrifying jets on the planet, and why the Mighty Dragon can defeat the Raptor anytime, anywhere. So sit tight, this one's going to be epic. But remember, we're still on YouTube, and that means we have limits. If we shared the uncensored truth, this channel wouldn't last a day. So if you want the real story, the raw, unfiltered facts that YouTube won't let us show, head over to our Telegram channel. That's where we cover everything they try to hide. The link's in the description below. I'll see you there. What makes a fighter jet truly great? Stealth, range, speed, payload, electronic warfare? The truth is, it's all of them. The more tricks a jet has up its sleeve, the deadlier it becomes. And that's where the F-22 completely falls apart. It's basically a one-trick pony, stealth and nothing else. Meanwhile, China's J-20 Mighty Dragon has everything. Let's start with stealth, America's favorite buzzword. Remember those invisible Israeli F-35s? 4 of them were reportedly shot down by Iranian air defenses, and an American F-35 was almost downed by Yemeni rebels. Yeah, fighters wearing sandals and carrying rusty AK-47s. So much for being undetectable. The truth is, modern radar can see stealth jets now. So why is the US still obsessed with stealth? Because that's the only thing they've got left. Now, the J-20 is stealthy too, but here's the difference. China didn't sacrifice range, weapons capacity or sensors just to hide from radar. Even if the F-22 was slightly stealthier, which is debatable, the J-20's electronic warfare gives it a massive edge. Take this example, the J-10C. It's not even stealthy, yet in the Pakistan-India conflict, Indian Rafales couldn't even lock onto it. That's the same Rafale that in NATO exercises managed to lock onto and shoot down an F-35. So why couldn't it touch the J-10C? Simple, electronic warfare. China equipped Pakistan's J-10Cs with the KG-600 jamming pod, which turned the air battle into a digital nightmare for India. Pakistan didn't just win the dogfight. They dominated the electromagnetic spectrum. India's jamming pods on their Rafales and Su-30s became completely useless. Now here's the billion-dollar question. If the export J-10C has that kind of jamming power, how powerful is the J-20, China's top-secret 5th-gen fighter that it never exports? Every sensor, radar and jammer on the Mighty Dragon is next level, designed to overwhelm, blind and confuse the enemy. Meanwhile, the F-22 hasn't received a serious upgrade in over 30 years. It's basically a flying museum piece, a very expensive relic compared to the J-20's living beast. And we haven't even touched the J-20's most terrifying advantages yet. This is where the Mighty Dragon starts to devour the West's so-called best jets. You've probably seen those YouTube channels that use DCS Flight Simulator to prove which fighter jet is the best. They'll spawn a bunch of F-22s, spawn a bunch of J-20s, hit start, and boom, F-22 wins. Then they say, see, America's still number one. Honestly, I feel sorry for those channels because that's not analysis, that's fantasy. Let me tell you why this is just plain stupid. First of all, DCS always takes America's side. It's built to make US hardware look unbeatable. But even if, for the sake of argument, we pretend the F-22 really won that digital dogfight, let me ask you this. Where exactly was that F-22 based in the Pacific? Because here's the real world. Fighter jets don't magically appear on the enemy's border. They need nearby air bases, ground crews, tons of fuel, ammunition and support. And the F-22's biggest weakness? Range. Its combat range is barely 800 kilometers, while the J-20 can fly over 2,000. That means every F-22 mission requires fuel tankers just to stay in the fight, and protecting those tankers becomes a nightmare. F-22 pilots constantly worry about fuel, tanker safety, and survival. Meanwhile, J-20 pilots, they're relaxed, confident, and ready to strike deep. Then comes radar and sensors. The F-22's outdated radar can't even lock onto the J-20 in most scenarios, not with the Dragon's advanced electronic warfare jamming its every move. But of course, the DCS experts forgot to include that part. That's the difference between simulation and reality. Real war isn't clean, scripted, or one-sided. It's messy, unpredictable, and full of variables those American fanboys never talk about. And if you think this is all the J-20's got, you're wrong. Because I saved the best for last, the weapon that puts the mighty Dragon in a league of its own. So how many air-to-air missiles can the F-22 carry? 8. 6 AIM-120 AMRAAMs with a range of about 120 kilometers and 2 short-range AIM-9 Sidewinders. Not bad, but here's where things get really interesting. The J-20 also carries 8 missiles, but its loadout is on a different level. It packs 6 PL-15E missiles, each with a range of over 300 kilometers, more than double the reach of the F-22's AIM-120s, plus 2 PL-10E short-range dogfight missiles. Now, if you say that to an American fanboy, they'll turn red and start shouting. The US is developing new missiles, the AIM-120D, AIM-260 GAT-M, and AIM-1174. All right, let's break that down. The AIM-174 is actually just a modified SM-6 naval missile. It's huge and can't even fit inside the F-22's internal bay. And the AIM-260, if the project succeeds, might reach 200 to 250 kilometers at best, still far behind the PL-15's range. Meanwhile, China's not sitting still. They've already tested the PL-17 and PL-20, both with over 400 kilometers of range. Yes, they're too big for the J-20's internal bays, but that's exactly what the upcoming PL-21 will change. When it enters service, the J-20 will have a missile with over 400 kilometers of reach, turning it into an unmatched long-range hunter. So when it comes to air-to-air missiles, China is clearly ahead. But one thing still decides who dominates the skies: radar. The J-20 is equipped with a KLJ-5 AESA radar, built with over 2,000 transmit-receive modules. That's why the J-20's nose is so large. It's housing a massive radar array capable of detecting targets over 400 kilometers away and tracking fighter jets at around 300 kilometers. Now compare that to the F-22's APG-77 radar, which uses older JAS technology. The J-20's radar is GaN-based, meaning it can handle more voltage, more heat, and deliver up to 3 times the power output. That makes it far more jam-resistant and gives it a clearer picture in combat. In simple terms, the J-20 will detect the F-22 first, and even if by some miracle the F-22 detects the J-20, it won't be able to lock on because the Dragon's electronic warfare systems will blind it instantly. So, the ultimate winner here is clear: the J-20 Mighty Dragon. But here's the most important part. China isn't stopping with the J-20. It already has 2 sixth-generation fighter jets in development, while the United States still has nothing to show the world. So the real question is, with China's massive leap in technology, can the US ever catch up? I don't know about that. But I do know we can catch up with all those channels that mock China's innovation and defeat them right here on YouTube. So if you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to make our voice stronger. Join our Telegram channel, link in the description, to stay connected and make your voice heard across platforms. This is Eastwind Brigade, where our voices unite, and together we rise.